because even the dumbest policymaker in Washington realizes what we're doing is actually increasing the lines, the recruiting lines for Al-Qaeda and other terrorist organizations. So what are the real aims? Well, the real aims have to do with what was recognized right after World War II, when the United States was even then the, quote, sole remaining superpower in the world, end quote. What that meant was that we had 50% of the world's natural resources and constituted in terms of population just 6.3% of the world's people. And so a decision was made very early on that our policies should be designed to continue that disproportionality, to make sure that the United States would be entitled and would be able to acquire more than its fair share of natural resources. So oil and gas is the big prize in the Middle East. Everyone knows that. And to suggest that our activities in Iraq and Afghanistan have nothing to do with oil and gas is to say the ridiculous. So oil is one aspect. Military bases in that area, which are judged necessary to protect the oil resources and the natural gas ones. What I like to point out to people is when they ask me now, Afghanistan, what they say there are only 50 terrorists there. Why do we have 100,000, or slightly less than 100,000 people there? Troops, plus contractors, another 100,000. Well, the answer lies in the fact that even though Afghanistan does have some natural resources, but it's going to take decades to get them extracted, just to the north of Afghanistan is a country called Turkmenistan. It used to be part of the Soviet Union. Why do I mention that? Well, because the natural gas in Turkmenistan is worth more than all the oil in Iraq. Got that? Worth more than all the oil in Iraq. The problem is you can't get it here from there. And so that's why this pipeline was devised a good decade ago to go from Turkmenistan to Afghanistan, Pakistan, a little slice of India, to come out to a warm water port. Not necessary to go through the Strait of Hormuz, not necessary to go through the Soviet Union. It would be a bonanza for oil and gas companies. And guess what the corporation was that was going to handle the distribution and sale of this natural gas? Enron, of all places. So that's the prize. Now, the other thing that is never mentioned in U.S. media is what the U.S. sees as its very close identification with Israel and Israeli policies and Israeli interests in that area. Very simply, with 9/11 being marked here for the 10th year, nobody ever mentions what Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the so-called mastermind of 9/11, what he said when he was interrogated. It's in the 9/11 Commission report. What did he say? They said that his animus toward the United States was not due to his stay here as a student, but rather to his consuming hatred for U.S. policies favoring Israel. Now, that's big, okay? And the more the U.S. shows its policies to be in lockstep with Israel, the more defeat the U.S. will suffer in the Middle East. Israel is in a very precarious position now, having lost allies in Egypt, 70-plus million people in Egypt. Turkey, a very powerful nation, they are on the defensive, and they are about to strike out, all the more so given what happened in Cairo overnight, the siege of the Israeli embassy in Cairo. So the question is the United States likely to commit some more marching suicide here by identifying its interests so completely with Israel